The story begins by the lake, as our hero finds the surroundings unfamiliar. He suddenly remembers he was driving along on his scooter when a vending machine ahead of him got loose, and it ends up smashing into him. He is surprised he is still alive, but he soon finds he is unable to move. He suddenly hears his voice, welcoming customers to use him, and he realizes he has been reincarnated as a vending machine. We learn he was actually a vending machine fanatic, so he is surprisingly happy about his new form. He admires his affordable products and sleek design, but he soon realizes his new form might be a problem. He wonders if it was thanks to God that he was turned into the thing he loved, and he decides to just accept things. He is able to say the standard things for a vending machine, such as insert a coin, and thanks for buying. He thinks about what else he can do, trying to understand his new body. He sees some writing, and he realizes it's the items he is selling. There are currently only 2 items, mineral water and corn soup. He hears a voice telling him that he can change the items by spending points, and he sees he has 1,000 points. He learns that points are converted for money, which are then used to replenish or change the goods sold, or even gain additional functions. After further investigation, he learns that the points allow him to keep different items at different temperatures, and he is also able to warm up frozen food, or add hot water to ramen. He checks out what other items he has, and he finds he has a range of items that he would buy from vending machines when he was alive. He decides to try changing his item to milk tea, so he spends 10 points, and the milk teas appear inside him. It seems he can gain 1 point per 100 yen, and as he learns more about himself, he finds he doesn't require electricity for power, but he consumes his points for power instead. He uses 1 point per hour, which means he uses 24 points per day, so he thinks he needs to earn at least 2,400 yen each day to survive. Since he still has 990 points, he can operate for about a month, but he thinks he shouldn't waste his points until he can get a more steady income. But he realizes he is in the middle of nowhere, and after a day, he starts to panic, thinking he is doomed, because no one will ever use him. However, at that moment, a giant frog appears. It approaches him, but it gets startled by his voice welcoming it. The frog starts attacking him with its club, and his durability gets lowered. He learns that if his durability reaches 0, he will break and become unusable. The frog keeps on attacking him, and he sees his durability rapidly decreasing. He notices there is a magic stat, so he is surprised there is magic in this world. He is able to repair his durability with his points, so he thinks he can just wait for the frog to get bored, but the frog suddenly calls its friends. Seeing the frog's axe, he starts to panic, and he tries to find a function that will save him, but there is nothing useful. The frogs keep beating him up, but he suddenly notices he can gain a blessing from God. He is able to choose from a number of different abilities, so he gains the barrier ability, and he is able to push the frogs away. He thinks he is invincible, but his points start decreasing rapidly as the frogs keep on attacking him. The frogs eventually get bored, and he manages to survive. He uses his points to repair his durability, and we see he is down to 311 points. A few days later, he still hasn't been able to sell anything, but a girl suddenly appears. She is on alert at first, but she notes how she is starving, saying she isn't cut out to be a hunter. It seems she was hunting the frogs, but she hasn't had any luck. She notices the vending machine, but she is unfamiliar with what it can do. She is startled when she hears his voice, welcoming her and telling her to insert a coin. The girl wonders what kind of coins it takes. She tries a copper coin, but it's not accepted, and he learns he needs to acquire the coin conversion function to accept it. He quickly learns the skill for 100 points, and his prices change, allowing the girl to realize it will cost her 1 silver coin. She thinks it's expensive, but she decides to try it anyway because she is starving. He becomes excited to finally have his first sale, and the girl chooses his soup item. She takes it out from him, and she is surprised it is still hot. She tastes the soup, and she finds it delicious, saying it's better than anything else that's around. He is overwhelmed with pleasure to bring her such joy, and the girl wonders what other items he has. She enjoys his milk tea as well, and she ends up buying a few more corn soups. So he ended up making about 6 silver coins, which converts to 60 points. The girl ends up falling asleep beside him, but he protects her with his barrier, seeing her as a precious customer. When the girl wakes up, she thanks him for all the food, and she is startled when she hears his voice. She wonders if he is able to talk, because she knows someone who invents tools that have magical power, so she wonders if he can only say certain lines. She notices he can understand her, and they come up with a way to talk, where he will say hello to answer yes, and thank you to answer no. She introduces herself as Llamas, and she starts trying to learn more about him. He can't tell her his name, so she decides to call him Boxo. She wonders if he is lonely, and she suggests moving him. He agrees to this, and the girl suddenly picks him up. He can't believe she is so strong, but he is glad to finally move. It turns out Llamas has the blessing of might, which explains her insane strength. She takes a break after a while, wanting to have some more corn soup, but he thinks the soup isn't very filling, so he decides to find her something else. Llamas is surprised seeing he can change his items, and she decides to try it out. It's a can of potato chips, and she finds it absolutely delicious, eating multiple cans, and he manages to recover back up to 320 points. They make it back to the village, and the guards wonder what she has brought back. She explains it as a magical tool that can grant items in exchange for money, saying she found it by the lake. She wonders if it's okay to keep, and the guards mention it's normal for whoever finds something in a dungeon to become its rightful owner, and Boxo wonders if they are in a dungeon, but thinks it's not possible because he is able to see the sky. The guards are surprised he can talk, so they think he could be sold for a high price, but Llamas says she is taking him to meet her friend. The guards try buying from him, and they are instantly impressed, going on to try all of his items. They tell Llamas to bring him around once in a while, and Boxo thinks business is looking up. They get inside the village, and Llamas notices a girl being bullied. She beats up one of the thugs, but we see that despite her strength, she struggles to land a hit on the men. The men decide to run away, and Llamas checks up on the girl. Llamas goes to the inn, and her friend Monami rushes to her, glad that she returned unharmed. It seems Llamas was left behind by some other hunters, but Monami tells her she has helped her spread bad rumors about them. She turns her attention to Boxo, and she thinks Llamas has brought back more junk, but Llamas claims he is super useful. As Llamas sets him up outside, Monami knows she wants to go to the surface to show Boxo off to her friend, but Monami wonders how she will pay for the transfer circle. Despite being able to see the sky, they are apparently in a dungeon called the Clearflow Lake. It seems a transfer circle is required to leave, but it seems Llamas has spent all her money on his items. Monami tells Llamas to make some money working at her inn, and she hopes Boxo will also help to attract customers. The people are soon attracted by how good his items are, and he is able to sell quite a lot. At night, Llamas takes him over to the guards at the gate, but they eventually get bored of his items, so he thinks it's time he added some new items. It seems he has been able to sell over 400 items, and he now has over 3,000 points. He suddenly glows, and the guard is surprised to see there is a new item. It costs 3 silver coins, but the guard is excited to try something new. They wonder how to eat it, but there are luckily instructions on the can. It turns out to be stew, and the guards are impressed by the delicious flavors, wanting to buy even more. After a few days, word about his new item spreads around the village, and it seems to be a big hit. But during the day he makes it unavailable, so he doesn't compete with the inn's restaurant business. The girl that Llamas saved approaches him, but she gets startled by his voice, so she throws a rock at him and runs away. Their days continue, as Llamas takes him over to the guards at night. She talks to him as they walk, and she hopes they can talk for real one day, which is why they need to get to her friend on the surface. Llamas is glad to have found him, and he thinks that being reincarnated as a vending machine isn't so bad. But that's where this video ends.